everyone, it's Michelle Taylor from veganbreak.com, and I'm super honored to be here today with Mark Hawthorne.
Hello. Hello, Michelle.
He is a friend, a fellow activist, and an author, and he just came out with a brand new book. So, really excited to tell you a little bit about it today. And he's an accomplished author, has several books, and this was actually one, Striking at the Roots, that I read while I was in college, and it really, really helped me grow as an activist and learn different kind of tips and tricks that I could do to make me more effective at spreading important messages. So, amazing book. But Mark, let's hear a little bit about this book and what it's about and what inspired you to write it.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, after I wrote Striking at the Roots, I started hearing from a lot of activists around the world who were working on campaigns that were particular to their country. For example, I'd hear from activists in Japan working on the Taiji dolphin hunts. I'd hear from activists in Canada working on dog sled racing, campaigners in Australia working on kangaroo slaughter. And I started thinking that there's all these campaigns that people are working on that are really not necessarily factory farming or some of the major issues that we're working on. And there really wasn't a book that addressed all these issues that weren't getting a lot of mainstream media attention. And so that's what I wrote Bleating for, is to address things like the issues that I mentioned and so many others that don't get a lot of attention. We hear a lot about factory farming, we hear a lot about vivisection, we hear a lot about the fur industry, and there's a lot of activists working on that. In fact, those issues are in the book too, but there's so much other going on that I wanted to address those, and so that's Bleating Hearts, 5 years of research and writing.
Yeah, it is incredibly well researched, and I think there's something like 100 pages of references in here. So how did you go about doing the research?
I talked to undercover investigators who have worked inside vivisection labs or in fur farms. I read studies and reports. I talked to campaigners around the world. I even interviewed some of the animal exploiters themselves. I talked to one person, Thomas Whiting of Whiting Farms in Colorado, and all he does is supply rooster feathers to the fashion industry, and he kills 1,500 roosters a week.
Wow, what was that like talking to him?
It was kind of surreal, because he told me that roosters really weren't good for anything else. I mean, he hates these animals. I mean, he literally hates these animals, the way he describes his interactions with them. And it's so disheartening, yet I felt, well, if I can put it in the book, then other activists will know about it and get involved, talking about it with their family and friends, and letting people know, don't get involved with the fashion industry, don't get involved with using fur in your hair, which is what these were being sold for, and things like that. So that's just one example, of course. There's so many others, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about this book, is just there's so many different contributors and voices and quotes from people, both people who are helping animals and people who are hurting animals, so you can kind of read it firsthand. And yeah, there's a lot that just gets you ready to make a change, right?
Right. Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point. There's a lot of negative things in there, but every chapter ends with things that people can do. Ways activists can get involved and make a change. And also every chapter has several quotes that aren't maybe necessarily lighthearted, but they're uplifting. They're things that make us see, there are ways I can get involved, and here's an example in a sentence or two of what one activist is doing, as well as longer interviews with activists and people who work in some of the major organizations around the world.
Right, and it's great. I mean, it's something that, especially with Facebook, so many people are sharing these horrible, horrible situations and stories about just animal issues, and I think it's so important that we really, and this is something that I try and do through the Vegan Break channel and other things, and like this book, it's empowering people to actually make a change. And it's more than just like sharing the information. It's like we have to actually do something, and we're all empowered to do so many things. And it's just a matter of like learning what those are and actually going out there and doing them.
Right. Yeah. There are no graphic pictures in the book as well, so it's all. The only picture is a photo of a pig on the front taken by John MacArthur.
And you have a lot of other really cool projects going on. Like you have an amazing Twitter account that I've been following for a long time for really great updated news stories.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I tweet on at Mark Hawthorne, and I tweet, I think, every day, and I try to find vegan and animal rights stories to promote, get people involved, let them know if there's something that they can be active on, and if there's a story of a rescue or something, some animal going to a sanctuary, that's always nice to hear about.
Yeah, I find your account is one of the ones that I retweet the most often because it's just really, like, it's broadening our view beyond kind of topics that we're looking at every day, and I find that you post articles and it's like the first time I'll read about them, and just really, really great Twitter account, so you guys should definitely check it out if you are a fellow tweeter. All right, so Mark, where can we find your books? How can people order these? What's your website?
Well, I really encourage people to buy the book from their local independent bookstore. They can go in and ask for it. They'll order it for them if it's not already on the bookshelf. Or they can go to my website, markhawthorne.com, and there's a whole list of places where people can buy the book, including some vegan retailers.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Michelle.
As always, you can find more bite-sized vegan videos over at veganbreak.com. Be sure and go order a copy of one or both of these amazing resources. You put years into these, and it's really a great resource for any activist to read, any vegan or animal advocate to read. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Jan.